Hey y'all, welcome to our table. I'm Vinny, and this is Leather Table History. Well, we're doing something a little different. Instead of just reading about leather history from the archives or sitting in a class, we're making it one dinner conversation at a time. For our very first gathering, we sat down with some incredible folks to tackle a highly debated question. What is leather, for real? No fancy definitions, just real talk from the folks who actually live it. This is how we keep our stories alive, by passing them down directly with food, laughter, and sometimes some very strong opinions. Go ahead and pull up a chair. The conversation is just about to get started. There's a link to our digital zine in the caption. See you at the table.
I am Sir Raven. We are having a leather dinner, hosted by BLX, me, Sir Raven. I am the CEO of BLX, Black Latin Explorer. We cater to leather, kink, BDSM, for the queer. I'm using queer as a general term. I do not identify as queer, but it is as a leather term, to bring history to the masses, or leather history, I should say, right? In the beginning, we were going to have an intergenerational kind of conversation, but it has since changed, and like everything that we do, we ebb and flow. Happy Black History Month. Right. When they go high, we go low, low, low. So what's happening is that we have a group of wonderful speakers of different ages and levels of their journey. And I will be kind of facilitating, kind of prodding the conversation thus far. Today is February 28th, 2025, and we're going to begin by introducing ourselves, saying our pronouns, and maybe saying a little bit about the left hand and the right hand. And so let's begin.
Can I request that we also add where we're coming from? Because I don't think everyone is. Well, I don't think everyone here is from NYC.
Oh, I'm get to that, baby. Stop.
Okay, sorry.
You know what? I got a whole list, but thank you, light skinned.
Okay, so to kick off the introductions, my name is Theo. I use they, them pronouns on both sides of the slash, but predominantly dominant. And my favorite kink is ice branding.
Ooh.
I have literally never heard of that before in my life.
I've seen it.
Well, you'll learn later today.
Oh. Wait, did you
got that? Okay. You got that thing on you now?
No.
Oh. Then why did you? Okay.
Learn what it is what I meant.
Show and brought it.
Yeah.
I would have had a thing of dry ice. I would have had cookie. It would have been a whole production.
Oh.
And that's why I said learn what it is.
Pardon me. My name is Autumn.
And this is why they wouldn't.
Oh my God.
My name is Autumn anyway.
Hello, Autumn anyway.
Hi. My pronouns are she, her. I also like to pretend that I'm only on the right side of the slash, but that's not really true. I'm fully a switch, and I'm a cigar top, mainly. What was the other thing we were supposed to say? Is that it? Yeah. Okay, that's all.
That's all. No.
That wasn't a question.
Hello, my name is Liv. I am on the right side of the slash. I'm an S-type. And I really enjoy sharps, and I've been piss bottoming a lot. So yeah.
My name is Izuli. My pronouns are they and she. And I'm really into mental fucks. So I'm really into interrogation play. I feel like your mind is your best sex organ, so why not fuck with it? Your mind sends signals to the rest of your body. So I'm interested in getting in people's minds and then seeing if the body responds in that way. And I'm from North New Jersey.
That's where we're from.
Oh.
That's okay, we'll do it later though.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, I have a question.
Okay, I'm Teddy. I use they and he pronouns. I'm living right now in Philly. I'm from New York. I am a top dominant switch, and I like doing CNC and H play. I like corrupting kids. I do, and I like fucking them. Like this one.
Okay. I think we should. Oh, no, you know what? Yeah.
No, they understand. I hope they understand.
Who's they?
They meaning the leather folk. It's not for everybody.
Of age.
I mean, of course. Yeah. What? Please, it's gross. Anyway, go ahead.
Crazy. My name is Momo. I use she, her pronouns. I exist predominantly on the right side of the slash, but have been in a bit of a top phase in the last year. And I'm visiting, I guess, from Vancouver, Canada.
Nice. Then it goes to me, last but not least. My name is Chai. I go by they, he pronouns. I'm born and raised in the Bronx.
Stand up.
I would say, I feel like pure switch, but these days I've been predominantly on the D side. So I always say my holy trinity for like kinks is pet play, bondage, and leather. I feel like they all kind of like coincide with each other for me, but pet play is right up there. I'm a handler, and I'm also a pup, and I handle a sub who's also a pup, and that's kind of where my journey's been going right now. So
sweet. Okay, so since we went that way, when I ask the question, we're going to go this way.
Okay.
Can you introduce yourself?
I did introduce myself in the beginning. I'm Sir Raven.
What side
What
of
you
the
be
slash?
doing?
What I be doing? I be doing a lot of things. So I came into the community, which is the question. Like, how did you find leather? How did you come into leather? And where did you come into leather at? Right? So you answered like you're visiting from Canada, Momo. I am Sir Raven. My pronouns are she, they. I've entered the community, as I like to say, way back in the 90s.
I know how many times we're going to count on.
That's right, baby. I got to say it for the 90s for you. But like I said, I am here not to take up really as much space, but to like kind of facilitate a conversation. If you want to know, and I should say this, when we say the left side and the right side, the left meaning tops, here in New York on our coast, because in other places that may mean something different. So when we say the left and right side, the right side we're talking about bottoms or submissives, and the left side we're talking about tops or dominants. I am a dominant. I am into MS. I am into total power exchange. I am into consent, non-consent. I am a sadist, and we can probably even discuss how people of color and queer people of color deal or reconcile with their sadism, if they're into that, and or their masochism, and how we reconcile that in our, everyday lives. Well, kind of. I mean, this is America, so compartmentalize. So anyway, how did you come to leather? And how do you identify within leather? And where did you first come out into the public scene? Because there's that private scene that a lot of people of color, I don't identify as a person of color, I'm American, ancestors, chattel slavery. But how did you come out into the public scene?
Cool, yeah, thank you so much. So I found my leather calling as per se in Vancouver, BC, and I came out. I've known myself to be kinky since I was about 15, and then when I was 19, maybe 20, so about 7 or 8 years ago, I honestly I was in the home of my aunt, also known as Lady Kona. And she has a whole bookshelf full of leather perversions. And one of them said leather dyke on the title. And I said, what's a leather dyke? And she said, I'm going to need you to not ask me that. But every person I've introduced you to is a leather dyke. So I started asking around and found my own connection and affinity to it. And then once I told her and the people that we knew that I was interested in leather and saw myself in the community, I was given a syllabus and told to go to Munches and what have you, and just, have continued to kind of work my little way through that. I identify within leather as leather baby, a bit more service oriented, submissive. However, as I mentioned earlier, top leaning these days, and also kind of letting my sadism fly in a way that I haven't historically been able to. Did I answer that question?
Yes, you did.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. So I'm pretty new in the leather scene in general. So I've been kinky since like 18. My college actually had a kinky club, and so I learned about stuff there, and I was playing with my partners, and I was doing a lot of play in private until I want to say 25, 26 maybe. And then I went to parties when I would see them, but not often. And it really wasn't until I went to IMSL last year that I would say that I was oh shit, I understand what leather is, and feeling really at home in that space. And so I want to say my leather dyke scene is really my leather dyke journey is still pretty new, and how I identify within the scene is being a leather daddy, being a top, a sadist. I am a switch. But yeah, I think I like to be a leather daddy primarily. What are you laughing for?
I'm not laughing.
Oh,
Can we talk to each other, or does it
I
have to
don't
be
know.
this thing?
That's up to you. You said there's no cross. Nope, there's no cross talking.
You can
But
talk.
You can
There's
talk.
a question.
It's fine.
Well, I had a thing. I just wanted to say something about the way that we're behaving in reference to the recording.
Okay.
But I don't know if you wanted to pause the recording for me
No,
to
you're
say.
fine.
It was a
Go
thing.
ahead.
Okay, I really would like us to be less concerned, to generally be less concerned with the idea that someone might misinterpret what we to just have a conversation is all I'm saying. I don't want us to behave or speak in deference to who we think might be listening.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying.
Well, you don't have to worry about that. I mean, I understand and respect that.
Mhm.
But while we're talking, I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
This is me, Sir Raven, speaking. So, for instance, I am going to speak about what is IMSL. Because no one may know what IMSL is.
No. I don't mean in terms of. I mean on the other side in terms of possibly censoring yourself because you think that maybe like a second ago you were I'm an nasty age player and I like to fuck kids, but everybody was ew, no, don't say that. For a split second, everybody was don't say that. And so I guess generally what I'm saying is instead of behaving in deference to the possibility that someone might not understand in the wrong way,
Yes.
not
I understand.
educating somebody about something that might not be general knowledge is one thing, but in terms of, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand that. And
Yeah.
I'm
Don't wanna
taking
tone
notes
police.
Because when it comes
Yeah,
back
right.
around, I will talk about consent
Sure.
and those kinds of things.
Yeah, so
it's
I
not
just
really
don't.
an ill kind of a thing. It's
Yeah.
well, you said a thing, that's fine.
Yeah,
So let's go a little bit deeper. Let's explain what we're talking about.
yeah,
So I get it.
yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
that was all I wanted to say.
I respect that. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I was just asking because I like to ask questions. When you said EMSL,
yeah.
I didn't want to talk about myself. I wanted to know more about what was it at EMSL? What did you feel called to that you're oh, okay, now? And I heard you before saying this whole year you've been outside.
Yeah,
So something
yeah.
happened at EMSL, and I just want to hear more about that.
What happened? I don't know. I saw a kidnapping scene. I got slapped in the face. I bought him for needles for the first time. I was just fucking outside. I don't know. There's just, and then I'm a Philip in my life. And we did, that was actually that was my first age play scene. And that was also my first scene, yeah. Yeah, maybe we've talked about this so many times, please. But yeah, I don't know. So I just found like I met a lot of people who were like very comfortable with their perversion, and it was hot, and it just felt like an intense rush where I was like, this is exactly where I need to fucking be. And like being celebrated for my chaos and desire to then be exactly who I am, versus like feeling like I need to tame it, which is something that I was experiencing in other spaces where like an example would be like, I went to a party, I want to say a year before Insel in Philly, and it wasn't a leather party. And I remember one person was like, yeah, like I'm into needle play, and then everyone like rustled up and was like really scared, and I was like, wait, I want to know what's happening. What is that? I don't even know what it is, but like why are people scared about a kink as we're in a kink space, right? So I think that, and also like the level of community of actually giving a fuck about each other, which was really important. Like that was also, I didn't get a room. I said I was going to cruise myself into a room, and I did. But before that, I was like, oh my god, I'm super overwhelmed. I actually tried to go into your room, Autumn, but then you were doing a scene. And a friend of mine was like, you can just sleep in my room, like there's no issue. And it was like that level of like, yeah, of course I care about the fact that you're overwhelmed, and yeah, I met you like 2 days ago, but yes, please sleep in my room. And it was like those moments that I was like, okay, there's something deeper here than just like all of us being fucked up, which is just enough for me. But it's also like that depth of leather that was really important to me, that like kind of just made me keep coming back.
I think that also, based on what you're saying, when we talk about leather, you know, knowing the history of leather, like my quote is, like we said earlier, that leather is about community and seeing that someone may need something and being able to provide that, right? So it is about community and seeing that someone may need something and providing it, but trusting that you're going to be okay and they're going to be okay. Yeah. Right? It's also, when we talk about leather, so leather is a situation, but then you have your kink and your BDSM, right? So leather is the protocols. So it's like, okay, so you can't find this person, but yeah, you can come and sleep in my room. It's cool. Yeah. Right? So that is also taking care of people in our community. Right. So, but it is also, when we talk about leather, about hierarchy, it's about protocol. It is also about safety. Yeah. It's about understanding and being able to let a person be who they are, really without judgment. Don't get me wrong, everybody judges something. Of course. Right? But it is like, I may not understand it, but I'm willing to keep you safe so that you can do it. Right. Right? So I often say, when it comes to pride, I'm not marching in pride. I already did my marching. Right? So that's for y'all. I march for y'all, and what y'all do with it is what y'all do with it. Right? That's why it's called the parade. I grew up, it was a riot. Right. So when we're talking about leather, I would like to hear more about what you think leather is. What is leather to you? I know what it is to me. I mentioned it just right now, a few minutes ago. But what does leather mean to you? Because leather is different from kink and BDSM.
Yes.
Okay, so
I think, like, to take it, one of the things that, like, you were speaking about, but also just in my experience in general, is being in service to the community in whatever ways you can show up. Which, like, especially as someone who does not play nearly as much as I would like to, because I'm a busy fucking person. Like, I work full-time, I go to school full-time, and I'm, like, running groups in the fucking background on top of all the other shit that I do. Like, I don't have time to go to a play party, to cruise people, to, like, learn by doing in that way. And I would like to, but also I get to go home at the end of the day and still feel good about myself because I know I'm still serving the leather community in all the other things that I do. In me getting my education, I'm helping my friend with her branding for her social media pages as a pro dom, and like helping her figure out, okay, how do we navigate censorship? How do we take your pages to the next level so you stop like sitting at like 9K or whatever she's currently sitting at? I'm able to take the things that I'm building, the skills that I'm learning. I help my friends who like could be leather family, we will see in the future, undecided yet, but like regardless, they're in community with me. I work as a recruiter. I'm able to help them with their resumes. Now they're both going into jobs, and I get to go, I was able to help you with no expectation of anything back, and if you give something back to me, that's amazing. I really appreciate that, but that's not the reason I'm doing it. I'm doing it because this is the kind of person that I want to be. This is how I want to show up in the world, and I want to be in community with other people who resonate with that sentiment, but also understand when it's time to take a step back and rest. rest. I had my period of rest. That was not in leather, but that was definitely in organizing as a more general topic. And now I'm ready to step back into it, even during this time in which it is such a busy thing and rather inconvenient for me to do, but I'm doing it because I love it, because I can see the change that it's creating. And like, speaking of like, where did we get into leather? I think I got into it in Baltimore, but I think where I'm finding home in it is in DC. And I can see, like, I'm hearing it literally from the people I'm talking to, my age, older, whatever, where I'm like, okay, here's all the things that I know because I'm in community, because I talk to people, because I do all these things. You want to know where to find a class in DC? I know where to find a class in DC. Right. You want to know what conferences you to go to? Here's a list of conferences, whether or not I've attended them, that I just know about, can at least tell you about so you can do the research for yourself. Right. So I can see the effects of that community building and of that learning in growing, regrowing, whatever, the DC scene from what it was.
I appreciate you naming that, because when I came into leather, my auntie taught me two things. One, any space you go into, she said, wedding and funeral manners. So if you see someone that needs a seat, you get them a seat. If somebody needs help putting their coat on, you help put their coat on. If somebody needs a glass of water, you get them a glass of water. And so that for me is like at the heart of my service, is just like, I would like, you know, like, how do we just love each other? How do we support each other? So I appreciate you naming that. And then additionally, when I think about what leather is to me, and I would be curious to know what I exactly wrote, because I don't remember, but I always think about it as like, for me, it's about like integrity, community, and education. I was really fortunate in how I got to come up in leather and how I continue to be in leather. And I know that there's a lot of folks that don't have the same come up that I had. And so for me, it's a responsibility that I utilize the access and the resources that I have to support and uplift those who continue to come in or who need it. Regardless of what is happening reciprocally, to me it feels like what I signed up for when I decided to call myself a leather dyke, it meant that I'm now committing to something bigger than myself. And so I'm hearing that in what you're saying, which I really appreciate.
And that's why we're now roomies. Continue.
I like what both of y'all said and what you said first about like protocols, and then you named integrity, education, and what was the third one?
Community, I think.
Community. I think living in an individualistic society that's really for self, that leather gives you a protocol, gives you a framework of how to connect. Yeah. Like we say community, but I'm like, just because I throw a whip or just because we do power exchange does not mean I'm in community with you. Right. Does not mean that we do community the same thing. So I hesitate to say we all the time, because community is not just like I'm sitting in a room, we're in community, it's work. And I think when we have been in a society that has divided, that the framework is like, well, how do you do the thing? Well, what is integrity, right? And then having that conversation and being able to build with that, or like, what does it mean to have transparency when I don't want to, right? Because I said I don't want to be transparent with you, right? But I know that you're a human being, you're an extension of me, and I need to. So I feel like leather, I hear what all y'all are saying, which I find similar to, is like, I was in leather before I knew what leather was. Like you said, you said that you were like, yo, I was gonna cruise my way into something, and then like it didn't happen, and someone else was like, yo, come here. So that was leather before. Maybe you didn't even know to name that was leather, but you were experiencing it. Yeah. You were saying that, you know, like you saw the word and then didn't even know that all these leather dykes had been raising you and had been around you, but it was already there. Yeah. So I think I have the same sentiment of like doing sex work and being around like other black femdoms who, I've always been a fluid person. I've never felt like the pretty girl, but they would do my makeup, they would make me feel pretty, they would hold my mirror up, we'd go out, we would do sessions together, and we were just talking about this being in a dungeon and like all the racism that happened, and they would wipe my tears when I didn't feel like it was beautiful enough. So at that time, I lived in a fucked up apartment. I made $10 an hour at a high school, and when I couldn't eat, I was fed. Yeah. When I didn't have any outfits, I had an outfit, right? Like, bitch, we're gonna sew some shit up because my ass a little fatter than yours, but we gotta go through dungeon. We gonna practice on each other, and I'm gonna show up for your scene so someone doesn't kill you when you have a random person showing up. So for me, like, when you speak about surveying, when you talk about a leather house, before we even knew that, right, I was with my family. We were surviving together, and things have changed, but I can always call my sisters up and say, like, what is going on with you? So I think leather, to me, many times we're in it, and then someone's able to name it, And when they're able to define it, then we're able to expand in it and pass it
Yeah.
on. So that's what leather is to me, and I'm interested in to hear if y'all experienced leather before you were able to name it then named it. I'm just interested in that.
Also, a question to put out there is like, how would we define the difference between a leather house and a leather family and leather community?
That's what I would love to know too. Yeah, that's a really good point. Because I feel like a lot of people think that they're all the same thing, and it's not. Just like how you were just saying, right? Just because we say community doesn't automatically, just because we share the same thing, means that, like,
or that we're wearing leather.
Right, exactly. Or that, like, just because you're clad in all leather and I'm clad in all leather doesn't mean that we're always going to be on the same, like, playing ground. And I think for me, when I came into this scene, it was last year. So, but I think I knew about kink. I just didn't put myself in it because I just knew about it and I love learning about it. I think for like at least the last 2 years or so, I knew kink was a thing. I knew it existed, but I didn't call myself kinky just because I didn't feel like I had anything that would put me in the kink community. But I knew it and I love learning about it because just something about it was so fascinating and was so interesting to hear. Like, this is a level of trust and people that are saying, like, these are things that are taboo, or these are things that to the normal public we can see each other nude, but there's no shame. There's like, that's all out the window. I see a body and you see my body, whether that is like if you're playing with each other, great, but like for me, and that's what I've loved about it, is that like there's just this freedom to, like, not just in play parties but in socials, of just being like, we all put everything that we have, like, going on outside. We put it outside the door. We come in and we're here for each other. We're here to support each other. We're here to listen to each other's stripes, but also build each other up. And so I think my first introduction to leather was when I was telling Julie about this earlier, where I went to my first King social because I got into pet play before I got into anything else. And I saw Onyx, very good leather organization, shout out to them because I'm pledging for them. But even besides that, I remember seeing them on that stage and doing their chant of, we are Onyx, and just that was my first introduction to like a leather family. And my first thought wasn't I want to be a part of that. My first thought was like, wow, like I want to carry that on, that sense of family, even if I'm not in that organization or like their like sibling, like I want to continue that. And so I think on and off last year was when I was kind of just like, I think I'm in leather, like I wear leather, but I hadn't quite figured out what leather meant to me. And then this year came, or rather like I think winter came, and I was interested in bootblacking, and I feel like bootblacking has been my like central part of being a leather person. So because I feel like that, you guys kept saying it earlier, but service. Service is the one word I feel like you're gonna hear a lot, and people just think service means like subbing or bottoming, but it's like, no, because I call myself like a service top, because for me, I derive pleasure from other people's pleasure, so, and whether that's degrading or bringing them up, that is something that just for me is like, that continued to show in leather. I was like, wow, this is like a whole community based upon service to each other, like how you guys mentioned, whether that's physically of like, you need $20 for food, I got you, or literally just being like if you need an ear, like for me to listen, I'm there, I got you. And that is something that this community has been nothing but pouring out their love even to me. I also have to shout out Deja. Deja's been someone that is she won Northeast Boot Black, so she's a title holder right now, but even besides that, she's a boot black that I was referred to by one of my King friends, and she's been just like up there for me. She's just poured nothing but knowledge and love anytime I needed a question, or even besides that, she's just given me opportunity upon opportunity. I remember I lost my leather kit the other day when it was like I was just building it, and I told her about it, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to like build my leather kit up again, and she just sent me money. She was like, we're gonna help you rebuild. She didn't think twice about it. And then my other leather boot black who was at that same party also heard that and was like, we're gonna help you rebuild. I didn't even need to. I was like, no, you don't have to. It's fine. Like, but they were like, no, it happens. We just want to help you rebuild. And something about that was just like, it wasn't the money. It was the fact that like they didn't even think twice about it. They were like, oh, we know that this is something you're interested in. You're trying to make like a livelihood out of it too. We want to help you because we're in a good position. We're gonna like be there for you. So for me, being in leather, I would say I identify as a leather person and a boot black, and those are my main like forms of just like being. I think I'm still trying to figure out like what leather means to me, but I think I will lastly leave off with, I've always said that like similar to leather, it's essentially alive, like it's skin, right? Like you see whether it's contests or socials, whatever, like it's the community's like, it's bound like leather. It literally, like, you have to keep it alive by the support, by the TLC. And that's what I've been since like the very beginning. I was like, leather is skin, like, and the community is similar to that. You gotta keep it there, you gotta keep it alive, and if we don't take care of it, it just crumbles and
gets dry.
And it gets dry. And that's the boot black in me talking.
I'm
saying, but that's even more why for like being a boot black, where it was just like, it's not just about taking care of someone's shoes or the gear. It's like, I'm taking a piece of something that is really important to someone, whether they think it or not, and I'm not just like cleaning it up. I'm restoring it so that they can still have that memory with it, so that they continue with it.
And you're also making them look fucking phenomenal.
Exactly,
also,
yeah.
We deserve
the amount of people
phenomenal.
that don't actually know how to take care of the leather.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and when I learned that, now I have this lens where every time I look at leather on the streets, I'm like, are they taking care of that? And that's just like a. But it's true. It was like it's I'm giving service to someone else. And whether that's as a sub or a dom, for me, it's just the fact that I'm like, I'm connecting with you on this really intimate level through your gear.
Yeah.
Whether it's new or like 50 years old.
Yeah. It's like, I always say that boot blacking is like living archival work.
Yeah.
Right? Like yeah.
You're keeping it alive. You're like, right, you're trying to like keep it going. Not just the leather, but like the very essence of it in general. Yeah. Which is, me becoming a boot black was one of my main motivations, was that I felt like there was not a lot of boot blacks in like the New York scene. Like, I know a few, like I said, Deja earlier, but for the most part, most of them I know of are like in New Jersey or Philly, or they're out there. And so one of my motivations was like, how many people in like New York are going to these leather events and socials and are actually taking care of their leather, or even know how to take care of their leather? And that was just something that I was like, I want to learn that so that I could give that to my community right now. Yeah. And that's been my main motivation as far as like learning, not just like so I could make like whatever. That doesn't matter to me. You could come to me and be like, hey, I have $2 to my name. I'm like, I don't care. I just want sit on my chair. I want to make sure if you've never had a boot black experience before, I'm gonna give that to you. And that's all I care about.
I also want to amp up. Sorry, I know that there are more people that need to speak.
Yeah, sorry.
But I do want to also like. I really believe that in so many ways, boot blacks are both like. I think boot blacks are the heart of the leather community, and I'll stand on 10 toes and say that. I, as a fellow boot black, I know I don't even have. I don't just have stuff to do your boots. If you need a nail file, I got you. If you need, something stitched, I got you. You need a Band-Aid, I got you. Like, and I think that there are a lot of times within leather spaces and non-leather spaces in which boot blacks are deeply neglected. And so I do want to just like really uplift that I do believe boot blacks are at the heart of our community, because the analogy that you said, leather is skin, so therefore, like, yes, what we wear, but also how we are.
You have to keep it alive.
If you don't keep that shit conditioned, baby,
that's
it's
just not gonna stay alive. Yeah, and conditioning looks like so many different ways. TLC looks so many different ways. Like I said, whether that's actually physically doing an action for your sibling or just being there for them. The amount of times I feel like I could see, even just not the community stuff, but even title holders where I see they're held up on this pedestal, or organizers, even anyone that holds some sort of like platform. There's just this thing of like, you're not seeing them as human, you're just seeing them as like this person all clad in leather, not like who's the human behind that.
Yes.
But I'm gonna leave that there because I was like, you talking.
I actually wanted to return to something you said, Izuli, about. I can't remember necessarily, but it was more about like resonance and like being around something that, and like realizing that like these are my people, but you don't really. So the original question, like, was there a time that you were in leather and you didn't realize it? Yeah. I kind of feel like I was raised that way. Very happy and grateful to say that my parents are like very happily married and have been my whole life for about like 30-something years. But they're very butch femme in the way that they behave. like, despite being a heterosexual couple. And also, our house was always the gathering space. So if, like, a friend of the family was, like, grieving, it was always, like, our couch was always the one. Or especially when I was in college, like, my bedroom was always, like, if somebody was grieving, that's where they were. Like, so I grew up that way. All of the parties were at our house. All of the, sorry, I'm just...
Sorry.
It's okay.
Go ahead. I'm just gonna wait till you
All of the parties were at our house. All of the like going through very difficult times were at our house. Also, being a ballet dancer is very leather.
Elaborate.
Oh, don't worry.
Oh.
But gifted leather is a thing for a multitude of reasons. As a ballet dancer, I can't tell you how many pairs of point shoes I've signed, and you can't use them again, right? Because they deteriorate because of the sweat and you're dancing in them and everything. But how many times I've, like, passed my point shoes on to, like, a younger aspiring dancer who has been looking at me while I was training and sweating in class and wanted to do that despite seeing how difficult it was. Our teachers would bring us leotards and tights and stuff when they were done performing or, like, done taking class. After a while, when you're training as a dancer, you stop wearing a leotard and tights. You just go to class in what's comfortable. So, like, you might have swapped your, like, uniform leotard and tights for, like, leggings and a t-shirt, and that's it. I'm doing my training. I'm not trying to impress anybody, whatever. So all of their, like, leotards, maybe ballet shoes that they might have had for quite some time, they would sometimes bring them to class and they would just dump them and we would go through them. So I have several leotards that belong to ballet teachers of mine that have belonged to older dancers that I've looked up to, and they've sold things or given them away, or they've said, I think you should have this because it's so special to me. So honestly, my entire life, like, having parents who behave the way they do, and a family that behaves the way it does, and then a career that I chose as a professional dancer also behave in a very leather way. Something else that I think is very important to leather is standing on principle, which is also the way that I was raised. So they all kind of dovetail in the same way. Standing on principle and making sure that people don't get away with harm and that people don't get away with pulling the rug out from others. I love that a lot of people are attracted to leather because there seems to be a code of honor and a code of ethics, but that code of ethics doesn't necessarily always touch on standing on business because that's still scary to people. Somebody told me the other day, I actually think it was Momo, but I think I was talking about something and I was just, like, very, very strong about how, like, this thing is so wrong and I just can't let it go. Momo was like, one thing about Autumn is that she leads with hostility.
Hello. Yes. Oh, baby.
And she's in the bathroom right now, but she, from the bathroom, said, yes, you do. And honestly, me years ago would have been very ashamed of the fact that people see me that way because, like, I don't know if this is anybody else's experience, but if you like went to school, being the one person in school who has radical politics is very, very lonely. And so it was attached to, even though I still stood on my politics, it was attached to a lot of shame to stand on principle and to look at something and go, this is not okay. I can see you suffering. And you're just accepting the fact that it's, for some reason, it's more admirable to uphold the status quo and accept the suffering as opposed to putting any energy into the fact that things could be different. And so for me, standing on the principle is at the top of my list when it comes to a personal code of ethics. And I mean, this isn't a question, but the proverbial one, like, what do I wish our community would do? especially us as the 20-year-olds in the room. I wish we did that more often.
Yeah,
because the people, like those of us who really do stand on business, we're all kind of like, we gravitate toward each other.
Yeah.
And I just wish that like that was a muscle that hadn't atrophied over the decades. So
I'm alert. Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel.
I also think like what you were saying, and I noticed like with my friends, like my favorite thing is just to talk to people.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when you're around people who, because that's a
It's an allergy, so that's not gonna help. But thank you.
Oh, it's a skill, right? Like when you stand on business, and I think conflict is very intimate because when we're all like happy, right? We're not really saying the things, and sometimes we allow things to pass, and sometimes we're not even processing the things that are making us uncomfortable. When we're in conflict, some things come out, and it's like, oh, actually, I learned something more about you than when we were just having this happy moment. But the problem is, we both have to come to each other with that skill. Because when you're in conflict with somebody, or just say conversation, right? Because words mean things. We're not in an argument. We're just in a conversation, right? We're reflecting together. I'm giving you feedback because I love you, and you're giving me feedback because I love you, right? I have to be able to work through my ego, work through my emotions to hear you. And it's not that people can't tell the truth. It's just how they're received, right? And like all of those things that are happening. And I think sometimes what I wish is like folks who can see two people have a conversation and love themselves afterwards. People need to see that. And because we don't sit around often like this, people who don't know how to do that are not seeing it modeled, but you had your parents model it, so you just grew up. Everybody didn't sit at the table, which is why I love that we're having dinner and sitting together, because I can literally talk to someone and it'll be like, did y'all sit together and talk? No. And I can tell. Like, I was forced to sit at the table and we talked, right? Yeah. So I think sometimes not being able to see what is possible and imagine what it is to work through something and love you, and still, hey, maybe I'm not gonna call you tomorrow because that was a little rough, but I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna call you the next day and we're gonna be good. People don't see that. People just ghost, right? They just feel like they're disposable, especially living in the city. I can find a new person to hang out with. I can swipe and find a new person to fuck. So why do I have to like be committed to you? And that's what I love about leather. If we're actually not just wearing it, but we're standing our ethics, is that I have to move through that discomfort with you. And I see that you matter and that your feelings matter. So I wish people would stand on it, because we all community until they're a little rough.
Yeah, of course. I also wanted to say, actually, the thing I remembered is a community is a privilege, not a right.
You talk.
Oh, really?
You did. It resonated with me.
Oh.
Okay.
That's because I'd be ready to. I'm ready to do that all the time, but like, community is a privilege, not a right. We're sitting next to each other, and what? Trust is still earned. Sorry about it. We can look the same. You can be just as dangerous. Sorry about it. Like, critical thinking over identity politics.
Woo!
Yep.
Talk your shit.
Sorry.
Don't let me quote an article, because I'll cite a source right now.
You're going to cite a source.
Critical thinking over identity politics. You still have to earn my trust. I still have to know that you're dependable.
Exactly.
You still have to prove that to me. You don't get to like be in here and wear a pin and deem yourself trustworthy. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. And in fact, because leather is so attractive, because marginalized communities are attractive by nature. There are so many different people who come here from different walks of life and have different motives. They may not even realize that they have such motives, but because they haven't gone through that themselves, and they believe that just because they don the outerwear that people will accept them, there's a great deal of harm that occurs.
Yeah.
So if you combine that with people who haven't flexed the muscle or exercised the muscle of standing on principle, a lot of danger can occur often. So I don't know, really it was just that you were saying like, yeah, we can sit next to each other, but that doesn't mean that, whatever. It was just like, community is a privilege, not a right. You still have to earn those things. You still have to prove to people that you're worthy of like trusting and spending time with, and you are worthy of like giving to as well.
And I feel like also something that I think is really important in that is like, I don't know, it takes. Damn, I lost my thought, but this is actually making me nervous.
Can I interject real quick? Because I just thought of
Yeah, go ahead.
It's really quick. You're making me think of something I read earlier that was talking. It was somebody that was talking about people who say they have 10 years of experience in the scene as opposed to people who say, like, okay, like, what are you doing within those years? Because you could say I had 10 years in the scene, and you could say I've had experience in this, or I've had experience, and that made me think as I read more, because it's true, because you hear a lot of people will say, yeah, I've been 12 years in the scene. Okay, but what have you been doing for those, like, 12 years? Are you only talking about doing it in one kink? What morals are you upholding? What kind of people are you playing with? Like, people don't think that. They just see the gear, or they hear the years, and automatically it's just, not to say that people that say that are automatically just like you shouldn't listen to them, but like do your critical thinking, do your vetting, your fact checking. People, I feel like, it's scared of actually like vetting and having a conversation with people to really get to know them more, because they either see the gear or they hear that they have this and a level of experience, and don't think, okay, well, you may think that, but like, is that the case for everyone around you or the people that you have circles with? Like, let me get to know you as a person, even if I'm not playing with you. So I don't know why you were just making me think of that. I saw that today. That was like, that's a good point of just like, you can't just accept what you see at first sight. Like, you really gotta like do your due diligence. I feel like. Yeah. And then enough is not said about it. But go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I'm just listening because so a few things. The same people that were outside of the community, and these are in quotes. If you're an asshole out there, you're going to be an asshole in here.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just a microcosm.
Right. You're the same. Right. If you're the same person, you can come into community and change because you're like, wow, and have some growth.
Right.
But sometimes that doesn't happen. So that's one thing. Another thing is that I often say that the leather community, we're not really a community. We're city-states. Ooh. Right? There's city-states, right? Yes. So there's the city-states that you may think we're all just one, but we're really not. We may have this overarching thing that we call ourselves leather, but when we talk about having those leather values, right? When I said it's about history, it's about community, it's about integrity, those things. If you are not that kind of person out there, you're not going to be that kind of person in here. So I grew up a certain way. So a lot of times people think that I'm like, because I identify as a top or a master or these kinds of things, I have manners, right? You know what I'm saying? Right. So because I have manners, they're like, well, you can't be a real master because I say thank you. Like, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's a whole can of words. Like,
and I apologize and things like that. But also, like I said, we're city states. So there are people in certain kind of spots in our leather community. Right, you were talking about being pups. So pups have their own kind of protocol or whatever that I may never understand if I walk into that. Right, and so we have to also take into consideration those things. But really, the overarching thing is that if you're an asshole outside, you're going to be an asshole in here.
No matter gear, whatever can change that. It does not matter.
And so you're talking about gear. Let me put this out there. Leather is what you wear. Right? Is it what you are? Right? You were saying that you're trying to still figure it out. And that's a beautiful thing. Right? Autumn said, well, I grew up a certain kind of a way, and that's leather to me. Because that's your integrity. So to say the words integrity and honor, and these words are very flowery. They're very nice. But are you living it? And it's kind of hard to live it. So I'll give you two examples. One, I am leather Levi. I don't wear leather. I wear denim. Right? So people say the leather community, but it's leather Levi. When I came up, it was leather Levi. But then it all of a sudden became just leather. And that's fine, right? Because leather is the motorcycle, right? It's the World War II, but it's also the rodeo.
The Nazis.
Right?
Listen, we just watched Tom of Finland Foundation show they whole ass. I'm going to say that.
Say it. Put it on record.
Okay, we can get to that. We can get to that. But what I'm saying is that when we also talk about leather, we also have to talk about the fact that not everybody wears leather.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
We also have to talk about the fact that leather is expensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And that we're talking about a marginalized group, and we're talking about queer, black, and brown people. You may not be able to afford leather,
Yep.
right? So that's why I always want to be seen in my denim jacket. I want to be seen in my vest that's denim,
Yeah.
right? And I dare you to tell me that I'm not leather.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there's that. There's also, when we talk about leather and the history of leather, it does come from the military.
Right.
So getting to, I'm gonna move there, and then you can.
I don't know if you want her to, because we had this discussion on the phone.
we can go there, but leather is also the roots of it comes from the military, comes from uniforms.
Yeah.
And we're talking about uniforms of all kinds, right? So that does mean here in America, it will mean the Marines, the Navy, you know, it means the Army having that kind of gear.
Yeah.
But now we're talking about how sometimes those uniforms can be triggering and harmful to some communities.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying I wear denim because of that. What I'm saying is I'm just very close to rodeo. I like tying bitches up. And because I grew up in a home where my father and I looked at a lot of Westerns. And so that's where I get that kind of a thing from also. But when we're talking about leather and uniforms and gear, we also have to understand that a Nazi uniform is also leather.
Yeah. Yeah.
It may trigger you in a different way, but it is gear, right? A police uniform is gear because it comes from that kind of history. And once you know the history, it may trigger you, but you could be like, okay, that's cool, that's triggering me, but
That's not cool.
Stay your ass over there. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? So we also have that. So, and I also want to ask about, you talked about handing down in your ballet career, handing down leather, right? And also about being of service to the community. So, being of service, when I came up in leather in the public scene, what I saw of leather was that we were of service. So title holders have always been of service to the community, right? Because of the AIDS virus. I'm sorry, what's that finger? You giving me a finger.
No, I was like, I'm waiting for the go ahead.
For the what?
I just know you. Go ahead.
But I'm just saying, so when I talk to title holders and I ask, well, what is your platform? Because when I came up during the AIDS crisis, right, title holders did education and service to the community. It wasn't about wearing your sash and getting laid.
Thank you.
It was about doing education.
Say it louder for the people in the back. Like.
It was about doing education so that the rest of the world understood that even though we're doing this deviant thing, we are still taking care of our community.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? And so sometimes that also may mean that leather means you will sleep on my couch. Right? I just said to you, if you can't go back to Canada, I got a couch, baby, because I'm a leather daddy. Right? So I will make sure that you're taken care of. And I'm not asking you for anything in return.
Right.
But I am trusting that you're not going to rot me in my sleep.
Right.
As well. Right? So let me ask this question. When you say that you're a leather dyke, does that also influence your politics?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, can I finish the?
No. No. The answer is yes. Next question.
Right, let me get my little list down.
No, yeah.
If it doesn't, I have questions.
You're not
Yeah.
that part. Then what?
Yeah.
Then speak to that. What does that mean?
Yeah.
So personally, I came to this realization, and I keep forgetting to. We talk about this kind of stuff all the time. I'm pretty sure I've told you about it. But like, when I come over here and I stand on the couch and scream about stuff.
You mean that's right there?
Yes. What I realized is that so, and this is kind of separate from the question that you asked, but it's still relevant. There are so many things, there's so much discourse as to what a queer femme is supposed to look like. So much. But what I realized is that if I wear leather, there's no questioning as to whether I'm a queer femme. It doesn't matter. But if I go outside and I just like wear a dress or whatever, I remember I went to my very first Folsom, and they were like, I was like, you know, like the couple of like wonderful Onyx Pearls that I had met my first year here, one of them was like, oh, I thought you were straight.
Put it on the record. Who said that?
No.
Don't ask me to do that, because I absolutely will.
Okay.
And that's how your leather works.
Yeah.
And
You said stand on principle.
Stand on principle, stand on couch, stand on principle.
No, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing, right?
I gotta pay my dues. No.
I mean, I would be, whatever. I will absolutely say it, but it's not relevant at this moment. But yeah, like looked right at me and was like, and kind of like under her breath was like, well, I thought you were straight. I don't know. I didn't know that.
In the words of Cardi B, I be bending bitches.
And that I do.
We talk about this all the time because I feel very, like, I last year shaved my head, which was a trip because people really, don't matter how long you've been in community, you look different as a black person, you are a new human being, which is wild.
You know that's right.
So there was that, but also it was like, I've never been read as so queer as to when my head was shaved.
Right.
Which I look good, let's be clear, and I felt good and what have you, but I mean, I'm sitting here on this couch with pink beads rattling in my head.
And I'm loving it.
So, you know, this is my preference, but I was really like, oh, y'all don't.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We're mentally, as femmes, like finish the sentence.
Thank you.
But yeah, like literally looked at me and was like, well, I don't know. I thought, and at the time I was in like a t-shirt and a harness and like fishnets and like boots and everything.
Gladly. Paint the picture.
Well, this seems pretty painted at this point.
We went down to the piers, but I won't tell that story.
This is before. This is before we went down to the piers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Anyway. But however, if I put on a leather skirt, you're queer and you're a dyke.
Right.
Unmistakably, I'm very comfortable in a leather skirt. But if I just wear like a regular quote feminine outfit, whether I'm queer is all of a sudden up in the air. So there's a lot of strength that I find in that politically as well, which is like, when I wear leather, I'm absolutely queer and I'm absolutely a femme. There's no question.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, dyke is an extremely defiant label, and as a femme, someone who, you know, in the regular world is read as straight often, dyke is the bite back to that.
Yeah.
Personally, when I think of lesbian, like, and how the general world thinks of it, I think about the L word. And like, that's not me. It's like, there are no curvy high femme dykes. Unless you count Pam Greer's terrible acting, but
You know, we had this conversation.
I liked Kate.
We can like Pam Grier, please.
Yeah, I never looked at the L word. So we had this conversation.
Yeah.
And when
Oh
we
my
said
God,
the
watch
thing
it.
about-
You don't see the L word?
Why would I want to see
Yes,
white
you're coming over.
Why would I want to see white lesbians? I grew up in New York.
We'll see.
Fair.
Why would I want to see white lesbians?
You can see that for free.
Right. I mean, so when we talked about Pam Grier, and
Yes.
Pam Grier was
Like the L
acting
word.
bad,
Yes.
and I was like, but it's Pam Grier.
No,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? But then I realized, they finally caught up to having a black person
Yeah.
on the L word.
Who was kind of in and out of the whole
Yeah,
show.
who wasn't really
I don't know
yeah.
anything because I've never seen it.
I
But
see.
I grew up with Pam Grier.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But
Right.
what's funny too, going back to the fact that I think I was raised by a butch femme couple, is that my parents would watch L Word
Yeah.
and could not wait to hear that my partner was showing me L Word. They were like, "Oh my God, tell us what you think." I was like,
Yeah.
"What are you talking about?"
I feel like the L word for me being a young young dyke, I was like the only sort of representation I got of like what the fuck was going on. Like, what was happening? And I was like, oh, they have a meeting space. Oh, okay. Oh, they cruised. Oh, okay. And, like, I'm not saying that they're necessarily leather at all, actually. But it was just, like, I don't know, seeing young lesbians in the time that I never really knew about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's interesting.
We'll do the chart with you and see how many moves I can do. Until I match with you.
Well, you know, when I was a young tomboy, when I was a young tomboy, I grew up seeing butch femmes.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I don't. So you know what I'm saying? That's why when I was like, oh, I see you. You know what I'm saying? So I can see. I know what I'm looking at.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So you're looking at me. I'm looking at you. We may be on the train. Actually, let me tell you a little story. I was on a train and this sister walked on. I can clearly see that this sister was trans, but they were able to like kind of like pass a little bit, right? But there were other people, black men, who were on the train and they were like kind of like harassing this person.
Man.
And so I was sitting across, and when they got on the train, I looked at them and they looked at me, and then I looked again. And I was like, and they were like, and we're doing the oral thing, right? So they like looked at me a certain way, and I looked at them. It's like, oh, I see you, you see me, right?
You see
and
me
so
seeing you.
I see you, right? I see you seeing me, right? But because they were
We see
being
each other.
harassed, I went and sat next to that person, right? And so they were found. And so I sat and I'm like, well, we'll stop you getting off, and this and the third. And then all of a sudden, I had to put myself in harm's way. Because again, being a tomboy, it's like, you know, oh, well, you never had a man, that's why you want to be a man. And nah, nigga, I don't, right?
You want to be me, actually.
Right, exactly.
Literally.
So it's like I had to sit there, and when they said they were getting off the stop, I was getting off before them. But I stayed on the train to make sure they got off the train.
Yeah.
Right? And so, to me, when we talk about leather and things like that and taking care of our community, I'm willing to put myself in harm's way. We both going to be fighting.
Right.
Because
Right.
I'm hoping that even though you got your nails done, when we scrapping, when we squabbling up, you're going to squabble up too. Right? You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I took that train ride with them. They got off, and I had to go back to my stop. But that was fine because they got off.
Yeah.
You know, and
And at
that
the end of
was
the day, that's what matters more
and that was
than you not like,
exactly
going
that
one
was
stop
the thing.
after. Yeah.
And so when we, what's again with the finger? Why do you keep doing the finger thing?
I want to say something, but
Then
it's talking
I'm
something
done.
trying to interrupt you.
I'm done.
Okay.
Stop flirting.
Oh, I was really just going to interrupt both of y'all because while you
She's
going back
around
where.
Jersey, not me. So
Anyways, as speaking on the conversation of like navigating presentation in the community, in being in this like weird position of like kind of helping to revive the DC leather scene, where DC like has a kink scene, but it's all centered around the Crucible, and there's not been a lot of munches, and there's a lot of fringe munches, so there's nothing nearly as established as New York, but we're also not in the same place as Philly where everything's like so separate.
Right.
It's like people are starting to show up, people are starting to show out, and I think like being in the space of like, I help run 2 different munches in the city that are both once a month, I notice the difference in how people are treating me and how I show up in the space, and where it's like, okay, people look at me, I do get read as queer, but they don't know what to do with me after that, and I'm very aware of that. Where it's like, I also read as a pretty little black girl. I went to private school my whole life. I don't look fucking scrappy. I know that. I'm okay with that. I've made my peace with this.
Private school baddies, rise up.
I don't look like I can fucking swing on you. I understand, it's fine. But also, that means when I show up at these organizing things and I'm greeting people and I'm talking to people and I'm playing the role of host, that host role does not get treated with the same respect.
Right.
Because it's like, oh my God, you're so cute. And then they like almost treat me as a submissive. And I was like, the right person can do that. You ain't that fucking person.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not how I show up.
I'll ice brand you, bitch.
It's like, that's not how I'll show up for you. And I can tell that, like, I'll say things and I'll be like, oh yeah, I do this, and that. And I get a little scoff back.
that they don't believe
That
that's
there's not that full confidence of like, oh, you're doing a lot, but that's cute. That's not serious.
Right.
because this is something I do every month. I can't dress myself up, be on the nines, come in big boots, leather vests every fucking month.
I mean, I could cash app you so you could show up that way.
Listen,
I've gifted so much leather.
But also, that's not something you want to dress as all the time. You don't have to.
I was gonna say, yeah,
exactly.
If that's what they're looking for, then they don't need to be there.
But I know that's because I'm black, though. Is the other thing where it's like I'm also working with white queers,
right?
Okay.
And like they are older, so like there's that difference. But also like they treat them with much more deference and respect, and they show up in their casual clothes as well. But I was like, I'm the one you're talking to. You're talking to them. They're great. I love them a lot. But also, they're not the ones who built a FetLife page. Right. They're not the ones who make the Instagram posts every month. They're not the ones who remember to book a venue for you to come here every month. Right. I am.
But we were talking
but they don't see that.
And they don't see that.
We were talking about this last night. I guess I have to say stuff for the record, like the test panel.
Thank you.
And we were talking about like exploiting black femmes and black people for labor, and then also as organizers, like. Also, as organizers, like we come into a space and there's folks that are preserving a space, but we treat them like shit. So that's also what it sounds like to me. It's like I want to come into this place. It's cool. I'm buying drinks, or I paid to get into this place, but I didn't think about the people who are like money went into this thing, like didn't sleep, right? Doing all this labor, and you can't even treat me like a human. You can't treat me like a human being. So I think like we talked about that, like resonating across the board, and then it falls on us, right, who are doing the organizing to do even more. Although it's like what I loved about what you said at the bondage class last month. You're like, y'all like this? Izuli's gonna hold space, then y'all fucking show up, right? So it's like it's not on her, it's on y'all to keep showing up. But she'll do the labor, but y'all have to keep showing up. But I do resonate with that. Like people oftentimes, if you're not the person wearing all the pretty gear, which I can't afford, if you don't have 1 billion followers, right? If you're not like doing certain type of play, because we talk about it, like I like soft skills. I want to have conversations. I can do hard skills, but I rather do this. That's not seen as like flashy, as valuable as other things, and people do treat people different, you know, how you show up in the space. So I agree with you.
And like part of leather for me is also thinking about that next generation, where it's like this is the leather community part for me, where I'm like, for me there's like community, there's being in community, and then there's like family, and those for me are 3 different stages. So like on the leather community, I'm always like, what am I handing over to other people? And it's like I am lucky in that I came up and my upbringing set me up to know how to navigate this, to know how to go, okay, you're not treating me right. That's okay, because I know how much time I'm willing to put on this. There's a clock, and if you don't meet that clock, I'm a dip, and you're going to have to figure it the fuck out. And I know how to separate myself from that and not consider that moral in any way and not feel like I'm failing somebody.
Right.
Because it can so quickly become, oh, well, you left this thing. You've left us out to dry.
Right.
And I never want it to turn that way. And so it's like, what am I handing over to the people that are coming after me? Am I even setting anything up to be handed over to the people that are coming after me? Are there people?
I think, and
that's that part.
I also think that one of the things that I do for myself is recognizing the fact that I could take up space in a certain different kind of way than a femme can. Right? So if I need to be on put my fucking Doc Martens on and be like, so what you saying to this one? You know, like I'll raise my hand and I'll be saying, did it last night. I was like, excuse me, because they were talking and it was fine, the conversation they were having. I was a bit bored, but I had questions. And the thing is, if I see that you're not allowing space for a certain kind of people, I have to put myself like the sister on the train. I'm gonna put myself out there to do the thing. And Sir Raven, you may think, well, Sir Raven's being an ass or Sir Raven's being a dick. I don't really care.
Stand on
right?
that.
So when we talk about leather and standing on integrity, I think sometimes with integrity, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Are you really? You want to be liked. You want to be popular. You want to be all of these things. But sometimes having integrity and saying, no, this is not right, means that you're going to be alone. Right? You're going to be the one that's going to be the bad guy, in quotes, right? When you're really not the bad guy, you're like really trying to say this.
Standing on business.
Right. And so, but people like to say that word, that buzzword, stand on business. In the community, like, well, stand 10 toes down.
Yeah.
All right, well,
are you
standing 10 toes down? And when you do, sometimes you're the one left just alone. You know, speaking from experience, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know, Chai, you was talking about people having like the gear and saying, well, I've been here for 10 years, but what have you been doing for 10 years?
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with you saying, well, no, I just been, you know, whipping ass and shit. I haven't really done anything. I haven't poured anything into the community.
Right.
Because you may not be thinking that you're doing this for the community. You're doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
And say that, and that's fine, right? But if you're really saying that you're leather in the way that we're defining leather, what are you pouring into the community, right? What, like I said, I did my marching, right? So what y'all do with it afterwards, that's on y'all. Y'all want to have a parade? Okay. You know, you can have a parade, that's fine. But what are you adding to the community to build on? So I want to ask this question because I've heard this a lot. And all of you are younger than me. I just turned 62. I'm in my crone years. Thank you.
Skin is glistening for the record.
You know why? Because it's that shea butter and that vitamin E, baby.
Yes.
You know, but I want to ask this question because I've heard some people in your age demographic, and yes, I'm being ageist at this point. You know, it's like, well, we don't have the elders. We are the elders.
Fuck off.
Wait. This one is saying bullshit, and the spit is hitting the side of my face.
Oh,
okay? I'm just messing with you. Because that bullshit is that bee. You have something to say?
I do think it's bullshit, and I think it's bullshit, and sure, there can be some truth to it. For me, I feel like it's bullshit because, I mean, my literal experience was nothing but that. And because the people who brought me in were had 20, 30 years on and experience on me, meant that then, like, the people who they introduced me to were within that. And then when I was out on my own and people ask me who I'm connected to, the people who know who I'm connected to are the people also of an older variety. So I know that they're out. I know that they're out there,
Right.
and it's not necessarily always the ones who are like taking up this space that are down to have the conversations. A lot of the times it's the ones that are chilling in the lobby or smoking their cigar or whatever, who really, if you just go and sit the fuck down and ask a question and give a glass of water, they'll happy to talk to you. I've never had the experience. I mean, obviously there's one-offs in individual people, but I've never had the experience really of elders rejecting me. However, I've also gone into those interactions not like thinking that my shit doesn't stink. Like, I recognize that I am 26. I really don't know shit, but I also stand on what I do know and believe in what I do know, and I'm open to have my mind being changed. And I think when I go in with that energy is reciprocated to me. You know, like this cute moment when you're like, you taught me that. That's like, I love that. I get to experience that. I have my elders that have said that to me. So I get that. And I also think that for some people, elder relationships have a level of inaccessibility for whatever reason. That be like where they're located, personal trauma or barrier. Like, I think that can exist for a bunch of ways, but I don't think it's fair for people to be like, where are the elders, where are the elders, where are the elders? Because they're around, y'all just don't want to hear what they have to say.
Literally.
And sometimes they say things that feel rough or that you don't want to hear or what have you, but I know that I think every year I have a better realization of what the fuck they were trying to say to me then, and every year I send, 6 apologies being like, I'm sorry, I didn't listen to you. Because it may not have been what I wanted to hear, but also they said what they said, and they said you'll believe me when you believe me. Right. And so I don't think it's fair to say that they don't exist, because I think they do, and I recognize that there can be barriers to those relationships.
Yeah.
So let me ask this, because we did a thing, and when I say we, I don't really mean we.
Well, damn.
When I say we, I mean...
Okay. I meant not you, the phone call.
I know, me too. That's why I looked over like, is that phone ringing?
Okay.
It's my mom.
Quick yes or no question while we're slightly derailed. Will we talk about purgatory at some point?
Oh, yeah.
Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. That's all I said was quick yes or no question.
Yes.
So the answer is yes. Great. Thank you.
We'll talk about it. Yeah.
Thank you. That's all I wanted.
Because I was going to ask the question.
Yes, please.
At MZL, International Miss Leather Boot Black.
Thank you.
We had a conversation in a room, and we were asking, like, the young folk. That's the finger saying yes, yes.
No. That was a
that conversation gave me a lot of perspective that I didn't have before.
Okay, and then maybe you can speak to that.
Yeah, I would love to.
So there was, we asked the question because people were talking about elders,
Right.
and
Yeah.
so there was a lot of. I'm not gonna say that because I do want to be canceled, but I'm not gonna. There were a lot of young people in that room that I had said to. Well, y'all didn't want the elders. Y'all didn't want old people to be in the dungeon. Like
Yeah.
we are the ones who kept the dungeons open.
Alive.
Yeah.
Right? And then y'all came in and was like, "Ooh, old people." And
Yeah.
so old people
Yeah.
was like,
Okay.
"Deuces."
Deuces.
We're
Like,
out.
You can have it.
And I
Yeah.
think that's what you gave me perspective of when we started talking about TNG, which I got kicked out of because I'm 36 now.
What?
A month before I turned, but I never. I
Wait,
always-
you what?
Just kicked
No,
out
they gave me
TNG.
like my FetLife age said 36 and I didn't turn 36 yet, and I was like, oh, I'll go to this thing because I'm like doing stuff in Jersey, like come where the black people are, and they're like, sorry, you're old now. And I'm like, oh,
That's
wow.
crazy.
and I've always hung out with like older folks anyway, but. When you were like TNG, can you speak to that? Because I thought that was really
Would
interesting.
love to.
That TNG is like inherently not leather
It's not.
and divisive. So I
Because
want
it's extremely leather to interface with your elders and to make relationship with them.
Right.
So no, TNG, for the record,
She's looking at it.
Staring down.
I'm
literally.
staring down the recording device. Yeah, no, I don't believe that TNG is inherently leather because it cuts you off at a certain age. Because
Yeah.
like, that's not to say that people who are 35 don't know things to teach a teen-year-old. It's not to say that. But can you imagine what a 65-year-old might have to say to an 18-year-old?
Yeah.
But okay, also as a copywriter, I talk a lot about like,
The kinky copywriter on Instagram.
wow, please.
Instagram might not even be a thing in the future. This was
Let's
a social
hope.
media platform.
Let's hope it burns down to the ground.
We'll
next
get the name
year.
copyright. Don't worry. The website's coming.
There you
Yeah.
go. There you
I'll
go.
put it in a newspaper.
Keep it alive.
But I talk a lot about how, like, internally, when you're writing your own information, sometimes you plant an idea in somebody's mind that didn't initially exist.
Okay.
So with TNG, having this thing where it's 18 to 35 and you can literally age out of it. And I'm to understand that there are certain situations where they go, in parentheses it says sometimes 40, whatever that means. I've seen it before.
Things way too much.
Of course.
Right.
Of course it does.
Right.
It's completely, like, anyway. But you are planting already this idea that, like, this is what my community looks like.
Right.
You're cutting that sphere off for them, right? And I, for the sake of this conversation, am only talking about how it relates to leather. It's the values of it are completely incongruous with how leather should behave, community-wise. And when it comes to being in service to something that you may not see. Because the 65-year-old person, the 70-year-old person, the 80-year-old person, they showed up to things so that your little ass could show up in a thong and a cowboy boot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They didn't know what it would look like several decades down the line. I think most of us only have 2 decades on this earth. We're verging on 3. But how much, 10 years ago, what was I, 17? What was I doing?
Yeah.
On the internet researching BDSM.
Right.
But
That part.
But
Being awakened.
yeah, I was being awakened at 12. But still, what was I doing? It's light years of difference that 10 years makes. So TNG can exist, whatever. I'm not gonna come and burn your shit down or anything. But I'm not gonna burn your shit. But anyway.
I'm gonna burn it down. But you keep talking.
So Raven said that, not Autumn.
Cancel.
But I do believe that it doesn't make any sense for, and we live in a culture that completely desexualizes people of a certain age anyway, especially in a binary sense, especially women. And so for Sapphic communities, that is especially devastating because we already don't have places to exist and interface, but like, let alone parties, because in your mind, you're like, old people aren't sexy, which I'm like, you don't have any fucking taste, but anyway.
No, honestly.
But
that's none of my business.
But that's none of my business. You can be tasteless all you want to be.
Slide in my DMs.
Yeah.
Instagram not be real so much.
My address at this time.
But y'all find me.
Yeah. Meet me in the Home Depot bathroom. Yeah.
Home Depot.
Yeah. Home Depot.
It's Home Depot.
Yeah. Home Depot. But yeah, totally. Like in your play party situation, you are already desexualizing people of a certain age. Yeah. And then because Sapphic folks don't have several places to gather, it is especially devastating to sequester yourself by age. Because there's no situation where you might happen upon a person who's older than 35. Because all of your parties are curated to your liking as a 20-year-old. So
I feel like that also encourages then at that point people to be like, okay, well, I don't need to talk to anybody older than that, because for me, because they're either in their mind thinking like, oh, I've yet to see anyone of that age bracket. So when in reality it's you and a bunch of other people are like holding this idea, and it keeps going and it keeps cycling. And then now all those elders that like people that like I said, like, oh no, there's no elders out there. No, there are.
Well, but then you go to Imsel and you're overwhelmed.
Well, I'm still confused that you told me at Imsel that people did not know. I'm still confused.
Oh yeah.
That people did not know that Imsel was a leather competition. That they did not see that there were elders there, and they thought it was just fucking in the courtyard. And I still don't understand that because it's all in one hotel.
It doesn't matter.
I don't understand.
It doesn't matter. The people plan their play during the time.
You're like, where's elders? And you're like literally at a place.
And I know that I was the one young person in the room for the contest.
Well, I always go to the ceremonies as well. But like, people plan their play when classes aren't happening, which is also when ceremonies are happening.
Yeah.
So I mean,
but then let me just say a thing. Yeah, that is very true. But you can't pay $185 or whatever the fuck it is and not read the description.
But wait, think about it. And let me just say, like, I'm a baddie who packs to wear something to the ceremony. So this is not me. But think about it. If Sapphic people do not really have places to gather like that, yes, I am paying $100 plus, $200 plus, whatever, to go fuck in the courtyard. Yes, for a weekend.
No, dude, I'm not saying we can't fuck in the courtyard.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is
that felt beat down last year.
Shut up. But what I am saying is that there are other things that are happening. And so if you're not interested in those things, that's on you.
Yeah, of course.
You can't say, well, we're the elders.
Of course.
When you're not going to seek those things out. Right? And so the thing about TNG, which I often say, y'all all breathe in the same air.
Totally. The same Instagram air.
It's the same. Well, I came up, there was no internet. Okay? But also you all are breathing the same air. And so I could literally say and have said, here in New York with the TNG that started and didn't want older people, I know who taught you how to throw a whip, because y'all are all throwing the whip the same way.
Yeah.
And it's wrong.
Damn.
It's wrong because y'all are all breathing the same air. Right? And it wasn't until I was able to, we talked about family and leather, or Theo talked about leather family or leather community. It wasn't until I really came into community and was able to talk to someone who started New York City TNG that I was able to say, y'all are breathing the same air. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. Y'all may want to play a certain way, but baby, we're not new to this. We true to this.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, older people have kept this alive for you, and then it became, well, let's bring some older people in to educate us.
Yeah.
Right.
Because then that was the only way that they had older people in.
To extract.
Yeah.
Okay, one more time. You know what I'm saying? And so when you say things like, how could you go to Imsel and not know? I understand that, but if you're looking just to fuck, sure. You want to fuck outside? Like, I told Zuli I used to fuck on the train. right? And these women was like, what? What were you talking about? I was like, girl. I used to fuck on the train a lot. In a park, on the train, you know, and the look on your face is like, what? That shit was...
No, I'm pretty sure you was fucking on the train.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, am I shocked? No.
I don't know if you want to do it again, but I'm...
Oh!
Sorry.
We're here to sexualize elders.
Yes!
Yeah.
Yeah.
As,
we are.
as tribute to how TNG has fucked things up.
Yeah.
But I also...
I'll do reparations for it.
How many sorries do I owe you?
I want them.
Okay, are y'all done?
We don't have to
But also that I agree with Autumn saying that, you know, you've done this thing and you've closed yourself off.
Yes.
So when we had that conversation at Imsel that year,
Yeah.
and then literally I said, but y'all didn't want us around.
Yeah.
But now here in 2024, 2023, y'all are screaming about consent violations.
Yeah.
But if you had us around, you would have known that person's not safe. This person does
But you're breathing
this.
the
This
same
person
air.
does that.
You're breathing
Because
the
y'all are all breathing the same air. And you don't know how to negotiate or consent to something. Now all of a sudden, consent is this big thing. So when y'all talk about consent, I'm like, what are y'all talking about? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because even though I wouldn't say consent was a big thing when I came out into the kink community or the leather community, we did police ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
we
each other.
knew, and each other. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you, Canada. You know, and each other. And that was also standing on business.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm in the dungeon and I'm seeing you. This guy is talking to you, or this person's talking to you. Let me get you real quick off to the side and be like, nah, that person's not safe.
Yeah.
And then
Because
you
you have
do,
a relationship with
but you do what you want to do, right? But I know for myself, because I'm saying I'm standing on business. I have integrity. I have to tell you this person isn't safe,
Yeah.
right? But if you still want to do that, that's on you, right? And then I'm good, right? But also, we didn't have the internet.
Yeah.
So you couldn't run to the internet and be like, oh, this happened. And then when you ask, well, did you talk to the person? And it's like, well, no. I didn't talk to the person. I just ran to the internet. Whereas before, we were all talking to each other.
Yeah.
We all were at the same party. We were all like, we were all
Yes.
in this kind of community, like for real.
Yeah.
And now it's like apologizing to the internet rather than apologizing to the person.
And now
I do
you
that
have
way
the
too much
internet.
time.
Yeah.
And so you run to the internet and you say this thing, and you can damage somebody, right? And you're doing it to the masses. But then when you find out, oh, my bad, I was wrong. You know, like
You're
I
already,
said,
like,
exactly. You already put it out there. You
damage
can't
is done.
unring
You
the
can't
bell.
damage control.
It already happened. So when I was saying to the people in the room, now y'all are saying, oh, our consent is being violated. It's because you did this to yourself, right? Because you've exiled all the older people who knew a thing, right? And I get it. I was young, you know, believe it or not.
I believe you came out just like this.
I did.
Cigar in hand.
I came
Lit.
Lit cigar.
Yeah.
No,
Sitting in the baby girl.
I came out with, you know, kinky hair and dark skin, but you've already removed all of these people, but now you're saying, well, I don't find we don't know where the elders are. One, and then two, you're talking about this whole consent thing, but y'all don't want to. And I'm not saying y'all, but then folks don't want to listen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I can tell you how a thing is, but if you don't want to listen, that's on you. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about consent violators, because there are consent violators in this city state of leather. What happens when you're the only one screaming to the sky saying this person isn't safe, but the rest of the community or most of the community is saying, nah, they good. Well, they didn't do it to me.
Yeah.
That didn't happen to me.
What they
That
got
had-
I know.
Tyler's pointing the finger.
Yeah, because see, now I get the figure because of you. No, I'm glad that you are saying that, but also everybody else, because I feel like recently I've been encountering this like pattern of, like you said, of, like it's not just like holding someone accountable. It's the whole like, what can you putting like ourselves aside to be like, this person very clearly either it does not even reputation of like promoting some kind of bad rhetoric or behavior, but is well known by the community, and you see that, and that intimidates you more than wait, I didn't like what this person said, or
Yeah.
it's very clear that two people have said, and even two people is more, it's still a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, like, is that my business to say something? And it's like, and then I feel like that happens a lot, and then you have this kind of hive mind of like, well, no one else is saying anything. And now everyone is going, well, no one else is saying anything, so no one...
Yes.
And then it just keeps going. And,
Yes.
and I've seen that. I'm not going to name drop nothing, but, like, I've seen that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Off the record.
Off the
we
record,
Be
off
doing
the
a
record.
lot of damn talking.
Listen, but it's true. And I really appreciate this conversation because it's really been. It's not for me to say like, oh, this is my like now okay to be like, okay, I can like tell on this person,
Yeah.
but it really like strengthens me to be like, no, like talk your shit. If that person is promoting this like really harmful like behavior or words, even if like only 2 people have said out of a sea of 50, that's still 2 more than what it should be.
Yes.
And forget reputation, forget if that person comes to you, it's like, what did you say about me? Because like how you said earlier about the train, right? If I have to go past one more stop, if I have to miss my stop so that that one person,
Yeah.
sure, I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that. I have to do that because if that's not leather, I don't know what that is.
Right,
Yeah.
but then we're talking about an individual. This is my individual morals and my individual thing, and it may not coincide with the rest of the community
Right.
that says they're about integrity.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Right.
you know, and you're looking and you're like, okay, Jan. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
sure,
saying?
yeah.
It's like, sure, Jan.
Yeah.
That's your integrity.
Yeah.
So when some people do that, like Izuli will say a thing to me, and I'll be like, well, you know, and they're like railing against the machine, and I'm like, listen, I'm like, well, baby, that's what your leather is. And if that's what your leather is, then you're standing on that. And it might not feel good, but you're standing on it. And I can
Yeah.
respect that. So then I respect that person.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to respect the person that knows a thing, and then I may, or someone else may come up to them and say, well, you know, this person is coming to your party, but they have done harm to X, Y, and Z, and y'all are still letting them in.
Yeah.
What is that saying about that? I'm never going to that party.
Yeah.
You know, I
That's
may
true.
want to,
That's true.
you know what I'm saying, but I'm not going. Well,
No.
you know, I don't go to parties anyway. But Teddy, yes.
Oh, I have so many things that are swirling through my mind, but something that I've been thinking about a lot with this is like how I've been feeling like leather also aligns with like my ethos as like feral of like things within nature. And like within nature, right? Like we are never in a position that we are like, oh my god, we don't go near the old thing, right? Like we are so thankful for the trees that are then old because they have been giving us life for so long. So I feel the same when it comes to elders. And then also another thing is like I think social media, because as a Gemini moon, I do really like social media, but the thing that is real about it is that it exploits the natural thing, which is to then build community. And so I think that how social media has been working within our very capitalist fascist state at the moment is that it's like kind of actually keeping us from each other. So then when it comes to like the actual conversations of like who's doing the consent violations, who is actually like real and who's not, who's actually never been in community but are saying they are, like all of that stuff is kind of like in our close friends in the DMs, but like it's still not in a way that's like actually serving the community. You know, like it's been helping, but it's never going to replace it in real-time interactions.
Right.
Facts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that also like if we then kind of been in deeper community with our elders, we would have then been able to kind of keep that sort of orientation with leather. If like things kind of have to be in person, we do have to meet in person, and luckily we do, right? But at the same time, it's not. I mean, I want more of it, right? And I want us to then get off of these platforms and then actually talk to people. And also, I think, you know, in a very, like, in a society that I think is breeding narcissists, it's very easy for... These narcissists love marginalized communities because marginalized communities actually are trying to then repair the harm that's been done by the system, right? Like, we actually try to give a fuck about each other. We actually try to then do mutual aid. We actually try to, like, love each other, right? And then narcissists fucking love that. And it's not just narcissists, it's just abusers in all types, right? But like knowing that that's what the system has bred, and then knowing that there's a group that is going to then give you the benefit of the doubt is so easy for abusers to stay in here. And so yeah, those are all of my thoughts in terms of like all these little pieces of it, because we're in a very unique time where like there are many people attracted to leather, and may say that they're leather, and can even get away with saying that they're leather because they exist primarily online, and because so much of us exist primarily online because we're in like a time deficit in terms of like our lives, right? Like you were saying how you were super busy, Theo, and like all of us are really busy, so like being online is one way to stay connected, but then also it's still not giving the full breadth of what leather is when you're doing it in real time.
It's been like a double-edged sword.
It is. And like the thing is that like that's another thing we were saying in the beginning, right? Like of having like people having to earn your respect. If like you have to kind of have to see what these people are, because we are in a time that we are a lot more isolated than I think we think. Even though that we see all of us and we are a city state and we can see all of our little pages on Instagram and wherever. So yeah.
Well, and I would also like in the conversations around community, I do think that it is a what did you say? Community is a
privilege, not a right.
I also think though that community is proximity.
Yes.
Right? But like when we think about like community is also the people that you don't like, the people that you don't get along with, solely because they are also who is near to you. And so I'm like, what do we also do with that? And we're talking about conflict being intimate, and it's like, how do we be intimate with people that we don't like? And but I also think that like, especially during trying times, there's a post currently circulating Instagram that's like, no, I will not be at that conference. And it's a conversation around the fact that like, especially here in America, where it's becoming increasingly dangerous or impossible for particularly trans people to travel interstately. What does it then mean when the thing that we're all choosing to spend $150+ in is these spaces that for a wide range of reasons can also be unsafe. Like they're safe for a bunch of reasons, but also realistically, any type of these military whatever entities could roll up, and then there's how many of us motherfuckers naked fucking in the courtyard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? And so I'm like, there's also risks beyond also the barrier to travel. And so I think there is also a piece where it's like community is also the people that are shitty, are abusers, are this, are that. And so I also want us to have spaces, places, what have you, where like, we're not just meeting the fucking play. And this is, I think, also where leather being a politic for me comes into play, where I'm like, it's not actually just who I fuck or how I fuck or what gets me whatever. It is, I see it as being a thing that's like intrinsic to who I am and informs everything that I do. And I think, I think that it needs to show up like with fellow leather people and beyond that. And also just, what does it then look like for us to be investing in this thing that we say we are, but to actually being more intentional about how we invest in it? You know? Because I want to fuck y'all, but I also want to have these conversations.
Yeah.
And fuck y'all. But you know what I mean?
One more time. Right. Yeah.
But, and I feel, and I don't think that that's not what we're investing in.
Well, I think that also, I'm hoping, well, I shouldn't say I hope, only because, the old head in the room. I remember we had dungeon spaces, but we also had private parties.
Yeah. Right.
And even living in New York, even though we don't have big spaces and those kinds of things, we did have private parties. Yeah. And so things were very underground.
Right.
Yeah. And because it was underground, it was safe that way.
Yes.
Because it was underground, you can come to someone's house or their apartment and do a thing, right? Or when the pro-doms would open up their dungeons, right? That you knew that was a safe space because they were pro-doms, right? You know what I'm saying? So they had to make sure that the space was safe. Yeah. But then also I want to talk about, because we're talking about queer and we're talking about black and brown people, right? And or people of color, where we don't have, which brings me to scene names. Like we don't have the luxury of just to do a thing and be safe. Right? Sometimes we can't be stealth. Like you were talking about being a femme and someone saying that you could be stealth if you need to be. Right? Yeah. But that's your safety of being stealth. There are some of us that we can't be stealth. Right? And so sometimes when I see people in the community, and there's nothing wrong with using your name that your parents gave you, that's a blessing, right? But there's also a reason why a lot of people, like when I came into the community, used scene names because we couldn't use our real names because of a certain kind of a thing that was happening, right? Whereas other people, non-melanated people, were like, yeah, we're just out here. You know,
I'm body.
Like, right? You know what I'm saying? And also because your whiteness gave you some privilege that you could like be wearing your leather gear and shit,
now,
right?
I feel like.
It does happen now.
Yeah, it still happens.
But like I can't, when I went to, if I go to a dungeon to play and bring my gear, I have to keep my shit like, I've literally seen people with their floggers like hanging, like, you cannot consent to being assaulted. And everything that we do is assault.
So, yeah.
So assault for me is going to be different assault for a white person.
Yeah.
So they can walk through, you know, New York City with their flogger or their knife out and shit.
Whip
And
Central Park and shit.
In Central Park, you know, there used to be Central Park. There used to be a whip.
They don't have to do like
They
the
still
like
do
kind
that
of
shit.
Yeah, they do. In
Yeah.
quotes. We don't.
No, we don't.
You know what I'm saying? And so there is that. You're right. That I'm hoping that what we do does go back underground to a degree, so that we can have that kind of safety.
Right.
I'm pro gatekeeping.
Definitely.
Actually, gates exist for a reason. You're not coming in my fucking yard unless I know I'm letting you in.
Okay, you live in a gated community?
I absolutely do not. I am broke.
But I'm saying leather should be a gated community.
It should absolutely be a gated community. I don't. I want it to be accessible enough that the people who know that that's where they should be can find it.
Yeah.
Which I think for me is why, like, I do have the privilege in a multitude of ways of being able to move through the space with my legal name. Part of that is because, like, being a sex educator, being a doula, like, all of these things also are already under threat, and so to add an additional thing is, like, at that point, I'm like, if I'm getting arrested, I'm getting arrested for, you know? And so there is an element of that. And it's been on my mind a bit more so these days, but I digress. But part of that is also so that, like, if people from my small hometown who then come into age and are like, oh shit, Momo's the most freaky person that I know, and so that's my access point, that I can do that. And so I do think that, like, when possible, it's helpful to have, but I don't think people are leveraging it in a way that is actually gives back into community. But I do also still think that the community needs to be gate kept. Like,
totally.
Like, I don't think everybody and should be welcome in.
Yeah.
I want you to be in your liberation, whatever that looks like to you, and
be over there.
Be over there.
Yeah. One thing that we were talking about yesterday or last night when we were at Tess, and we had a conversation. I was, you know, I really try not to scream on the phone, but I've been. Anyway, so we had a conversation. Zuli called me, and we had a conversation, and I said, what I want to see is white people on a panel talking about some shit. I'm tired of seeing people of color and black folks talking about how we need to move into their space. Fuck their space.
Yeah.
Like I've already been the little piece of pepper in all of the salt.
Yeah.
Right? Like I've already been like doing that kind of a thing, but I want to see white people talking about how they are going to work to do the thing that they need to do, because we don't need to do it. When on that panel, it was a good panel to a degree, but I was mad because again, black people were doing the labor to teach white people.
Right.
We didn't create this shit. So white people need to understand, you want us in your space. How are you welcoming us into your space?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, or just be like, this is just a white only space. And it's cool because I believe in segregation.
Hello.
I'm just gonna say it. I always did. You know, but that is, I guess, a conversation that we can have after dinner.